Hello my dear students, how are you? I hope all are good. Today let we start SST chapter number 19, the state government, यानी कि राज्य सरकार. India has had a federal form of government since it adopted its constitution. A federation is a system of government at two levels that share governing responsibility. India has central government and state governments. So the central government looks after national concerns including currency, defense and taxation. So the state government looks after state concerns such as the provision of health, road and education. Incidentally, the two functional areas are also known as national subjects and state subjects. The powers and functions of both the central and state government are defined by a written constitution. These governments are organized and function in accordance with the norms and practices of parliamentary systems of government. Both the central and state governments have three organs: executive, legislature and judiciary. The Republic of India is a federal union of 28 states and 7 union territories, including the National Capital Territory of Delhi. As we know, the Constitution of India also provides for a parliamentary form of government at the state level. So the head of the state is governor. He is appointed by the center for a term of 5 years. There is a council of ministers to aid and advise the governor. The council of ministers is the real executive of the state and is responsible to the legislative assembly of Vidhan Sabha of the state. Of a federation, the state has its own legislature and the executive. In some states, the legislature is bicameral, having two chambers, legislative assembly, the lower house and legislative council. In most of the states, there is unicameral legislature, i.e. one that has only one popular chamber known as legislative assembly. So the governor of the state is the nominal executive. He is the representative of the center in the state. There is a chief minister in every state. So he is the real ruler of the state. Legislative assembly क्या होता है? The legislative assembly also called the विधान सभा. ठीक है, क्या बोलते हैं हम इसको? विधान सभा is the lower house of the state legislature and it is also called the popular house. In states where there are only single chamber legislature, the legislative assemblies carry out all the functions of the legislature. Composition of legislative assembly. So in legislative assembly, all the elected representatives, MLAs from ruling and opposition party meet to discuss about the governance of the state. The constitution has set up an upper and lower limit for the number of seats in a legislative assembly. According to article 170 of the constitution, it cannot be more than 500 or less than 60. The number of the member is fixed according to the population of the state. Each state is divided into different areas. ठीक है, तो जो राज्य है वो एरिया में यानी कि क्षेत्र में डिवाइड है. हर राज्य क्षेत्रों में डिवाइड है. ठीक है. From each constituency, the people elect one representative. The elected person becomes a member of the legislative assembly, यानी कि MLA. Okay. These MLAs belong to different political parties. However, the following states have less than 60 members: Goa, Mizoram, and Sikkim. Method of election. The elections of the members of the Legislative Assembly are held directly through a single constituency on the basis of adult franchise and secret ballot. So, joint electorate system is adopted in the elections of the Legislative Assembly. According to it, the voters of all the communities cast their votes jointly. Session. The governor can summon the session of the Legislative Assembly at any time, but there must not be a gap of more than 6 months between the two sessions of the assembly. Quorum. It is necessary that 1/10 members of the total members of the legislative assembly must be present to run the proceeding of the legislative assembly. Officials of the legislative assembly: speaker and deputy speaker. The members of the legislative assembly elect among themselves one speaker and one deputy speaker to smoothly run the proceeding of the assembly and to preside over the meeting of the assembly. So the speaker presides over the meeting of the house. He maintains discipline in the meetings, gives permission to the members to speak, conducts voting after a debate is over and announce the result. The tenure of the speakers coincides with the tenure of the assembly, but he can be removed by the members of the assembly before time by a resolution passed by a majority of the then present members of the assembly after serving him a 14-day notice. Legislative Council. The Legislative Council, also called the Vidhan Parishad, is the upper house of the state legislature. Today only 6 states with Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Jammu and Kashmir, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra and Karnataka have legislative councils in there. According to the constitution, the members of the Legislative Council cannot be less than 40 or more than 1/3 of the members of the Legislative Assembly. Members of the Legislative Council are elected from various bodies. Electorates formed out of local self-governing bodies elect 1/3 of the members. Members of the Legislative Assembly elect 1/3 of the members. A constituency of graduates elects 1/12 of the members. Teachers of secondary schools, colleges and universities elect 1/12 of the members. So 1/6 are nominated by the governor of the states from eminent people in the field of music, art, science, social services, etc. Powers and functions of a state legislature. In states where there is bicameral legislature, legislative powers are exercised by the 2 houses jointly, but in states having unicameral legislature, the powers are used by the Legislative Assembly. Powers and functions of the state legislature are given below. Legislative functions. The legislature makes law relating to the subjects of the states. List example, land, police, health and concurrent list. The state and the center can make law in respect of the subject of the concurrent list. But if differences arise between them, the law made by the center prevails. To approve ordinances. If the legislature is not in session, the governor can issue ordinances, but the ordinances has to be approved by the legislature within 6 weeks of the beginning of the next sessions. If the ordinance is rejected by the legislature, then it stands rejected. Control over the executive. Under Article 164 of the Constitution, the Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to the Legislative Assembly. So, the legislature makes the ministers accountable by putting them questions, by adjournment, motion and by censuring them. The lower house of the legislature can bring non-confidence motion against it. Financial functions. It has full control over the finance of the state. It passes the annual budget, imposes taxes, reduces taxes and accepts supplementary demands, etc. Without its approval, the state's government cannot spend even a rupee. Electoral functions. The Legislative Assembly has the following electoral functions. It participates in the elections of the President. It elects 1/3 members of the Legislative Council. It elects the members of the Rajya Sabha. It elects the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker. Judicial functions. The legislature can take disciplinary action against its own members. A member can be suspended from the House if he violates its rules and regulations. Besides, the observers can also be punished for insulting the legislature. Relations between Legislative Assembly and Legislative Council. The mutual relations between the 2 houses are as follow. Legislative relations. An ordinary bill can be moved in either house. Both houses enjoy equal powers in respect of moving ordinary bills. But when it comes down to passing these bills, the upper house can retain the bill for a maximum period of 4 months, but cannot reject the bill. A bill passed by the upper house can be rejected by the lower house, i.e. the Legislative Assembly. Without the approval of the lower house, a bill cannot become law. In case a general bill is passed by the lower house but is not accepted by the upper house, and after the 3 months if the lower house passes the same bill again, okay, and the upper house again rejected the bill, so then the same bill is again passed by the lower house, and after 1 month without the approval of the upper house, the bill is sent to the government for approval. After his approval, the bill becomes law. This means that the upper house can delay an ordinary bill for 4 months at most. Financial relations. Money bill can only be moved in the Legislative Assembly after being passed by the Legislative Assembly. They are sent to the Legislative Council and it can without withhold the money bills for a maximum period of 14 days. If the upper house passes the same with some suggestions within 14 days, the Legislative Assembly is not bound to accept these suggestions. Executive relations. According to the Constitution, the executive is accountable to the Legislative Assembly, not to the Legislative Council. So it remains in the office only till it enjoys the confidence of the majority part in the Legislative Assembly. If the executive fails to retain this confidence, so the Council of Ministers has to resign. The Legislative Council can take the Council of Ministers to take by querying them and by criticizing their policies, but it cannot dismiss them. Legislative procedure in the state legislature. The main function of the state legislature is to make law. Article 196 to 207 describe the procedures for passing different types of bills. Ordinary bills can be moved by ministers and other members of the House. So, bills moved by ministers are called government bills, whereas bills moved by other members are called private bills. Procedure for passing an ordinary bill. There are two things to be noted regarding an ordinary bill. Number one, an ordinary bill can be moved in either house of the legislature. It can be moved by any member of the house. The law made by the legislatures are executive, read in the states by the state executives. The state executive consists of the governor, the chief minister and his council of ministers. The governor. Every state has a governor. He is the constitutional head of the state. Appointment of the governor. Governor का appointment कैसे होता है? The governor is appointed by the President of India. राष्ट्रपति के द्वारा होता है. The President of India appoints him her on the advice of the Prime Minister. Sometimes the Chief Minister of the concerned states is also consulted at times. One governor may be given charge of two or more states or union territories. For example, there used to be only one governor for Manipur, Tripura and Nagaland. Qualification. The qualification for a governor are: he should be a citizen of India, भारत का नागरिक हो. He must have completed 35 years of age. उसकी उम्र जो है 35 साल हो. He must not be holding any office of profit. By convention, he must not belong to the state to which he is appointed. Oath of office. The governor, before entering office, takes an oath of office before the Chief Justice of the concerned High Court or in his absence before the senior-most judge of the High Court. Term of office. The government is appointed by the President for a term of 5 years, but he holds office at the pleasure of the President. He may be reappointed after the completion of his term. However, the President can remove him even before the expiry of his term. He can resign earlier due to health or any other reasons. Salary. He gets a monthly salary up to 1,10,000 plus a number of allowances. He is also given a residence generally known as Raj Bhavan. उसको रहने के लिए राज भवन मिलता है और 1,10,000 उसकी सैलरी होती है. Powers and functions of the governor. उसके पावर, उसकी शक्तियाँ और उसके फंक्शन की वो क्या क्या काम करता है. Powers and functions of the governor. The functions and powers of the governor may be discussed under the following heads. Executive power. He is the executive head of the state government. All executive actions of the state are taken in his name. He appoints the chief minister and on his advice, other council of ministers are appointed. He appoints the advocate general, chairman and members of the state Public Service Commission. Legislative power. The first session after the general election begins with the address of the governor. He summons and progress the session of the state legislature. He can also dissolve the state Vidhan Sabha. Every year, the first session of the state legislature begin with the governor's address. Every year, the bill passed by the state legislature are subject to his assent. In case the legislature is not in session, he may promulgate an ordinance to meet the requirement of the situation. He has the power to address the state legislature and to send written messages to. He possesses the power of granting pardon to persons convicted by the courts of law or remitting or commuting their sentences, provided the offense was within the executive competence of the state government. Positions of the governor. The functions and powers of the governor are vast in sphere of state administration. He is not only the head of the state, but agent of the central government. His position has been summed up in the following words. Governor is the constitutional head of his state, just as the president is of the union. President or governor's rules. Governor can advise the president to declare a constitutional emergency in the state. He can also make such move if he thinks that the Council of Ministers has lost the confidence of the Assembly and a new ministry cannot be easily formed, or there is a complete breakdown of law and order. In such situation, the governor sends a report to the president. If the president dismisses the ministry of the state on the basis of the report and suspends or dissolves the assembly. So the state is said to have been placed under president's rule. In such situations, the governor becomes the real and effective ruler of the state, although he is supposed to act in accordance with the instructions of the President of India. In other words, he acts as the agent of the president and exercises all executive powers on behalf of the president, the chief minister and the council of ministers. Formation of the council of ministers. After the completion of legislative assembly elections, the task of the formation of the government starts. The leader of the majority party is invited by the governor to form the government. He is sworn in as the chief minister. The governor also has certain discretionary powers in the matter. They may be called into play only when no political party has clear majority behind it. The appointment of the state council of ministers is also made by the governor in consultation with the chief minister. Oath of office. The chief minister and all the ministers before assuming their office have to take oath of office. The oath of office administered to them by the governor of the state. Salaries and allowances. The ministers are entitled to a monthly salary, allowances and various amenities. These are determined by the state legislature from time to time. Categories of minister. The chief minister and other ministers from the council of ministers. The council of ministers in several states consist of three categories: minister, cabinet minister, minister of states and deputy ministers. Now, terms. Chief minister and the council of ministers are normally appointed for as long as the legislative assembly remains in power. In case of death of a chief minister or his resignation from his post, so the council of ministers stands automatically dissolved. Okay? Now they can be removed from office in exactly the same manner by the state legislative assembly as the Lok Sabha can remove the prime minister and his council of ministers at the center. The chief minister can ask a minister to resign and can appoint another one in his place. He can expand his cabinet. The chief minister remains in office till he enjoys the confidence of the legislative assembly. The real control of the state government rests with the chief minister and the council of ministers. The following powers of the chief minister make this point clear. Formation of the council of ministers. The ministers are appointed by the state government on the recommendation of the chief minister. Distributions of portfolios. He distributes portfolios among the ministers and supervises their work. He has the right to reshuffle their portfolios as well. Removal of ministers. The chief minister can remove any minister if he is not satisfied with his work. Presides over the meeting of the council. Promotes the meetings of the council and presides over them. He also decides the agenda of the meeting. Link between the governor and the council of ministers. He is the main link between the council and the governor. It is his constitutional obligation to communicate all decisions of the council of ministers to the governor. Chief spokesman of the government. He is the chief spokesman of the government. He is authorized to issue statements on state policy. He is the chief advisor of the governor on matters of state administration. Appointments, all those major appointments which are technically made by the governor are in reality made on the recommendation of the chief minister. Powers and functions of the Council of Ministers. Formulation of policy. The most important function of the Council of Ministers is the formulation of policies on which administration of the state is based. Control over the administration. The Council of Ministers is the real executive of the state. Each minister is made in charge of his department. It is his responsibility to run the administration of the department smoothly. Maintenance of law and order. It is the responsibility of the Council of Ministers to maintain law and order in the state. Appointments. All major appointments of the state are made by the governor on the advice of the Council of Ministers. Legislative function. On the advice of the Council of Ministers, the governor decides the time of summoning and prorogation of the legislature. The governor's speech at the beginning of new session is prepared by the Council of Ministers. So, majority of the bills are introduced in the legislature by the Council of Ministers. All bills, if need be, are also modified by this body. Financial functions. The Council of Ministers prepare the budget and decide the financial policy of the state. The final authority for its approval is, of course, the state legislature. Civil services. The decisions of the ministers are actually executed by officers of the civil service. They are the ones who run the administration at the state level. Like at the center, some officers of the Indian Administrative Service, IAS, Indian Administrative Service, and Indian Police Service, yani ki IPS, are appointed at the state level. The State's Public Service Commission, PSC, also selects a certain number of officials. The Chief Secretary heads the civil service in a state. Secretaries in charge of various departments work under him, her. Deputy secretaries under secretaries, directors, and deputy directors assist them. The state is divided into administrative units called division, which are looked after by divisional commissioners. These in turn are divided into district looked after by district magistrates, yani ki DMs. Each state has an official called the Advocate General, who advises the executive on legal matters and performs other legal functions assigned by the governor. She is appointed by the governor and holds office during the pleasure of the governor. Only a person who is qualified to be a high court judge is eligible for the post. He can take part in the proceeding of the state legislature but does not have the right to vote for the smooth working of these bodies. Okay? All citizens must cooperate in the administrative process. Land reforms. The objective of land reforms is to give ownership of land rights to the landless and security of land holding to marginal and small farmers. Other positive effects of land and redistribution are: it can discourage deforestation and burning of forests. It can strengthen people's livelihoods and prevent migration. It creates an opportunity for economic growth and reduces poverty. It can pave the way for political participation at the grassroots level. Article 39 of the Indian Constitution states that states must make policies so that all citizens have the rights to means of livelihood and that all community resources be distributed so as to serve the common good. Land reforms are made with this aim in mind. The right to property has been deleted from the list of fundamental rights. The Constitution has been amended many times to remove legal hurdle to land reforms. Each 5-year plan has emphasized the need for land reform and laid down policy guidelines to ensure the same. Land is a state subject, hence state governments were directed to introduce agricultural and sealing acts to limit the size of land holding and redistribute access land among landless and marginal farmers. Three major types of land reforms have been enacted after independence in India: the abolition of intermediaries, regulation of the size of holding through the imposition of ceiling on landholding, and redistribution or through land consolidation. Settlement and regulation of tenancy. Before independence, a major part of agricultural land was held by intermediaries under the zamindari and other land systems. Tenant farmers who tilled this land were burdened by high rent and other forms of exploitation. Laws related to the abolition of intermediaries began to be made in the 1950s with the Uttar Pradesh Abolition of Zamindari Act by 1972. All states had passed law to abolish intermediaries. As a result of these enactments, 20 million cultivators become owners of the land. They tilled at nearly 57.7 lakh hectares and was redistributed. Regulation of landholding size. By 1961 to 62, all states had passed law enforcing ceiling on landholding. The size of land ceiling varied from state to state on categories of land and crop to crop. For example, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal have ceiling of 40 acres and 25 acres on future acquisition. The land owning unit also varies. In some states, it is the family, while in others, it is an individual landholder. However, land ceiling legislation has helped shake the growth of the large holding. The ceiling on landholding was intended to meet the land needs of the landless, reduce the inequalities in land ownership so that it may lead to development of cooperative rural economy and enlarge self-employment in own and land as distinguished from subletting and tenant cultivation. Likewise, reforms in land consolidation have had a better impact in states like Uttar Pradesh, where agroecological conditions are encouraging and has governmental tenancy reforms. Tenancy reforms were of three kinds: regulation of rent, security of tenure, ownership rights to tenants. To regulate rent paid by tenant farmers, the first 5-year plan laid down guidelines that rent should not exceed 1/5 to 1/4 of the total produce. On security of tenure, state government passed law the aim to prevent the unlawful eviction of tenants, allow resumptions of land by the owner only for personal cultivation, ensure that tenants are assured the prescribed minimum area in the event of eviction. The laws apply differently in different states. Legislation enacted to bring about land reform varies across the states in the following ways. Norms set for ceiling on landlord holding. Category of land and land holding limits. Nature of tenancy reforms. In Uttar Pradesh, the key features of land reform in Uttar Pradesh are the Uttar Pradesh Imposition of Ceiling on Landholding Act 1960 specifies a ceiling on landholding Act 1960 specifies a ceiling of 7 hectares of on irrigable land. The act cover holding, there are no tenancy reforms. Next one is leasing is totally prohibited except for disabled person and married, separated, divorced and widowed women. However, there is no legal protection even for this group. There is no far rent legislation. Landowners are not even required to cultivate the land themselves like other states. So, all topics are covered in this chapter. I hope you all are very well understand and enjoy it. We will meet you the next class. Thank you.